Maybe I can have a look later.
Yeah, later, yeah. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Jai Sri Ram. Lakshman Hanuman. Ki Jai. So, you have it here? Okay, we'll have a practice. We're gonna have a practice session because we're doing kirtan tonight in the temple. She plays the violin. So, welcome everyone. Oh yeah. Ram, 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 Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram.
This microphone. Alright.
This beautiful Ahuja microphone. Made in India. It's got an on the back, there's an on switch. Plug it in on the top right, and in the back you can turn it on. Hare Krishna. So tonight we're going to read a poem that I wrote about Lord Rama. Then we're going to give some nectar you may have never heard to a Ram Bhajan. What's that? Louder.
Yes.
You want it louder.
I can't hear you, sorry.
Krishna. If you put on echo, then you'll hear everything I say twice. Twice. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now, how do we know the harmonium's in tune with it when we don't know? What are the notes of the strings? The notes on a violin? What's the first? G. Okay, here's G. Want to see for a tune? Are we in tune with the harmonium? Sitaram Lakshman Hare Krishna. Today, those of you who understand English will have a treat. Those of you who don't will be frustrated, and the translator will be more frustrated than anybody. We are reading a poem which rhymes in English. So I don't even know if you should try to translate it. Maybe the Russian speakers can just look at the faces of everybody else and well, what? We have a situation where I need to plug this in, but we need like nursing. We do that up here. You can summarize. You could summarize. So this is a poem that I wrote with the intention of someday putting it to music. It's been 20 years since I wrote it. There's no music. That means that someone else has to do it. I don't think I will give it. Well, maybe. We'll see. I now know a devotee who said he would help. He records for Sony, so maybe. Okay. Are you ready? This is a poem about the Leelas of Lord Rama. You can't hear me? Really? Because of the fonts? Well, should we make them slower?
No.
You want to make it louder? Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama. It's on full? No. The one on the right, does it say mic volume on the far right? Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. Yeah. Better? On the night before Ram would ascend to the throne as Ayodhya's king, amidst the joy and celebration, Dasarath met his favorite queen. Kaikeyi was lying on the ground, overwhelmed by anger and grief. The king asked, "Why all this trouble, and how can I give you relief?" At first, she remained silent, then said she would be all right. If the king could fulfill her desire and promise to do it that night. "Say for my son," the king said, "there is none more dear to me than you. In Ram's name, whose absence would kill me, I promise you anything you want me to do." Kaikeyi said, "Do you remember long ago when the gods enlisted you to fight a fierce battle against the demons, and how it was I who saved your life? At that time, you wanted to repay me. So 2 boons you promised to give. The time has come to ask for them of you. If you do not grant them, I will not live." "Yes, I remember well this promise. Please ask anything of me, dear." I wish that Bharata be made the king." You have to know his voice here. "I wish that Bharata be made the king and Ram exiled for 14 years. He begged her not to ask the boon. He reasoned and pleaded and cried. Realizing he could not dissuade her, he fainted and fell by her side." Somebody's listening. Dasarath was bound by his promise. His son would not become the next king. When Kaikeyi told Ram about his exile, the Lord gracefully accepted everything. When Ram told Sita of his departure, she begged to accompany him. "I will clear thorns from the road. My duty is to serve your every whim." Come on, you guys, wake up. The citizens could not bear the grief of being separated from their Ram, so they accompanied him to the forest. But he would only take Sita and Rama. Bharata soon returned to Ayodhya to find all the citizens in pain. He then chastised his mother and said, "I will rule only till Rama returns again." Again. Dasarath could not bear the fact that he put Rama in tribulation. Shortly after Ram was banished, the king died out of separation and frustration and desperation and any Asian you can think of. In the forest they lived in huts amidst many a ferocious beast. Their clothes were made from the barks of trees. Roots and fruits were all they had to eat. They met a witch disguised as a maiden who wanted Ram to be her own. When she tried to attack and devour Sita, Lakshman cut off her ears and nose. She lied to her brother Ravana, the most powerful of evil kings. "I just tried to bring Sita back for you, and look what they did to me." To take revenge, she provoked him to enact an evil scheme. "Steal Sita away from Ram and make her your principal queen." He had a magical deer charm Sita, and Ram chased him on her plea. Then the deer imitated Ram's cry for help, and Sita forced Lakshman to go see. Come on, you guys. Lakshman made a circle before he left that none could go beyond. So Ravana disguised himself as a saint and grabbed Sita when she gave him alms. Ravana took her to the island Lanka and offered her pleasures of every kind. Although he tried to make her his queen, Ram was the only one on her mind. Come on. Is he the only one? Ravana said, I give you 1 year to submit to my request. If you don't become my queen by then, I will kill you and eat your flesh. I will kill you and eat your flesh. What a demon. Hare Krishna. I love you so much, but if you don't surrender to me, I will kill you. To show you how much I love you. Ram enlisted monkey soldiers. They searched for Sita everywhere. When Hanuman jumped to Lanka, he found her lying in great despair. When Hanuman showed her Lord Ram's ring, tears of happiness fell down her face. Hanuman assured her that very soon Ram would come and take her from this place. Then Ravana's soldiers attacked Hanuman, and he killed them all, yet didn't tire. Ravana caught him and set his tail ablaze, but he used it to set Lanka on fire. That was easy. How come only 3 of you got it? The monkeys built a bridge to Lanka by floating stones upon the sea. Ram, Lakshman, and their monkey soldiers came to kill Ravana and set Sita free. Too fast. Give them a chance at least. Seeing this vast monkey army, Ravana's advisors told him not to fight. Give Sita back to Ram, they begged, or we shall face a horrible plight. Ravana did not listen to a word. He could not give up his sinful desire. Thinking his armies all-powerful, he ordered them to attack and fire. Ghastly and bloody battles ensued, killing all of Ravana's men. At last he challenged Ram, saying, I will put your life to an end. Ravana's strength seemed invincible. He put Rama's might to the test. Though Rama's body was full of arrows, he slew Ravana with a shot to his chest. Of course, we missed the part about Lakshman being attacked and almost dying. There's so many parts. Somehow or other I missed that. Then Hanuman brought Sita to Ram. This is the sad part. You can cry at this point. Actually, you're supposed to cry. Get ready. Pluck it, pluck it, pluck it. Then Hanuman brought Sita to Ram, but his broken heart wouldn't mend. Since she had lived with another man, it was wrong to accept her back again. Weeping loudly, she assured her Lord, I've never granted Ravana's desire. My Lord, if you do not accept me back, I will enter into fire. Fire. I will enter into fire. She walked into the fire saying, if I have ever been faithful to you, let the fire god now save me and prove that I was always true. Amidst the cries of the people, Ram's tearful eyes fell on her. As she walked out of the fire, Agni declared, Sita is pure. Agni declared, Sita is pure. Eyes flooded with tears, Rama said, I know Sita is my devoted wife, but this had to be proven to confirm a king's moral You all must have had too much prasadam today. That's the only explanation. They now returned to Ayodhya. 14 years had come and gone. Bharat turned the throne over to Ram, and all rejoiced with dance and song. The gods all felt the highest bliss. Everyone was peaceful and calm. And the whole kingdom was chanting, all glories to Sita and Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. They lived happily in Ayodhya until Ram went out in disguise to mix among the citizens and find out what was on their minds. He heard a husband chastise his wife for spending time away from home. It is not right that I take you back. I will not be immoral like King Ram. When Ram overheard this conversation, it went deep into his heart. He knew now the time had come for him to ask Sita to depart. It's not fair. English is his first language. That's the problem. There's hardly anybody here with English as their first language. Okay. We forgive you. For if a king is not respected and does not set an example for all, his life will be a failure and his kingdom will be sure to fall. To set the proper example and maintain religious rites, Sita was banished to the forest and left alone to live her life. Okay, pluck it. Cry, cry, cry. We'll take 5 minutes for everyone to cry. Cry, cry, cry. They're actually, these leelas were enacted to make us cry. You know why? Because we're going to cry about something. Right? So this pastime is engaging our propensity to cry so we can cry about Krishna and Lord Ram. So Lord Ram comes and apparently acts like an ordinary person. It almost seems like he was going to lose the battle. It almost seems like Lakshman was dying. And we're thinking, oh no, Lakshman, he's dying. And we're feeling these deep emotions for Ram and Krishna. And we're supposed to feel these emotions for Rama and Krishna, for Krishna, right? But especially in these leelas, you naturally feel these emotions. Look at this scene. How do you feel when Sita's being banished? Do you feel bad for her? How could he do that? Ram, how could you do that? Now you're chastising Ram in your mind. Any of you chastise Ram in your mind when you heard that? Why did you do that? Heartless, yeah. So, all these emotions are being stirred up by this pastime. That's the point. It's like a human, he's coming like a human to stir up emotion. Now I have some happy news for you. So you know about Kaikeyi. She was one of the wives of Dasara. And Kaikeyi had a evil servant named Mantara who told her, Kaikeyi, why are you allowing Ram to be the king? Your son to be the king. Dasara owes you 2 boons. You should ask for them. So it seems like very evil, doesn't it? It's not. Previously, Ram desired that Bharata would be the king. And he said, Kaikeyi, I want you to make sure Bharata is the king and I am not the king. Did you know that? Isn't that interesting? So when Kaikeyi was speaking, when Manthara was speaking to Kaikeyi, then Kaikeyi remembered that it was Rama's desire that Bharata be the king. So therefore she carried out that lila. Isn't that interesting? So she said, this is Ram's desire, so she took Manthara's advice as the perfect plan to fulfill the desire. What do you think of that? As we say, the plot thickens. You say that in Russian? The plot thickens? The storyline gets more complicated and deep. When I'm in America, I don't have to translate these expressions. Everybody knows. And here they're like, the plot thickens. What does that mean? Okay. So we're going to discuss some other things. So Valmiki was once with his disciple Bharadwaj, and there was a hunter, and the hunter just shot a bird. And Valmiki started saying, how could you do this? This was so cruel, this was so bad. Look what you've done. And he said, may all your happiness go away, go away, go away. Like that. He was really angry. And he'd never been that angry before. And he went back to his ashram and said, I don't understand. I've never been that angry. Why was I so angry? And all he was wondering, what happened? Lord Rama appeared. And Lord Rama said, you know when you were cursing or saying those words to the hunter, there was a certain meter you were using. You will never have happiness, never happiness, never happiness. There was a certain meter you were using. He said, you should describe the pastimes of Ram using that meter. That was the purpose of that pastime. The plot thickens. Now, so Brahma said, meditate upon the pastimes of Lord Ram, and all those pastimes will manifest in your heart. So, you know what happened? Who knows when Valmiki wrote the Ramayana? Anybody have any idea? I don't know how many before, but he was meditating on the pastimes of Ram, and he wrote them down. And then Ram came. But there's one he didn't write down, which was the departure of Sita, because then his sons would read the pastime in advance of it happening, and they would be upset, so he didn't write it down. Did you know that? Okay. 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 Oh, there's an interesting story. There was when Rama was in Chitrakoot, there was a time when everyone from Ayodhya came to ask him to come back. And there was an ashram of Bharadwaj, his disciple. And Bharadwaj invited everyone what did he invite him for? To be a guest for the day, to rest and take prasad. And Valmiki said, and Lord Ram said, but how can you do that? There's like 1 million people here, or millions. And Bharadwaj said, no problem, send them. And by his mystic power, he manifested a whole city that was big enough for everybody and took care of them. Quite powerful, sage. That's what happens when you control your senses. Okay. Oh, we have to leave in 5 minutes to the temple. So, So, Krishna comes, performs his Leela. And he performs his Leela for his enjoyment, but equally so for our enjoyment. And we can actually enjoy the Leela of Lord Rama and Hanuman, Lakshmana, Sita, by hearing. And we can be there in that Leela. And that's why hearing is so important. And so, if you hear, you make yourself fortunate. And if you avoid hearing, you make yourself unfortunate. I don't have any time to hear, I'm too busy. Krishna is coming to perform his Leela. I'm too busy to hear. I have other things that are more important. It's unfortunate, isn't it? Yeah. Narottam Das, I think it was Narottam Das, maybe it was Lochan Das. Maybe he wrote a song. Vrindavan Amayastanam Vilajanam. Who wrote that song? Narottam. So at the end of the song, he said that if we think of the pastimes of Krishna, we can be happy even in this miserable, hot, sweaty, material world. And he didn't say hot, sweaty, he just said, if we remember the pastimes of Krishna, we can be happy even in this miserable world. So all I can say is, Krishna is totally cool. And his pastimes are totally cool. And if you listen to his pastimes, you also become totally cool. And you become cool in the real sense. You cool down the fire of birth and death. So you really become cool. And that's the purpose of hearing the pastimes. And so Bhagavatam says, by hearing the pastimes, it can cure the disease of birth and death. Wow. It's the right medicine to cure the disease of birth and death. So Prabhupada said, simple, just sit down and hear. You have 2 ears, just sit down and hear. That's all you have to do. And we're so tamasic and rajasic, we can't sit down because we're too many things to do, to concentrate on the class, kind of thinking about all these other things. Yeah, that's a big problem. Yes? So don't live your life in a way that you can't hear regularly. You can't find peaceful time to hear. Then you're cursing yourself. All these books Prabhupada translated, what a shame if we don't read them. They're just sitting on the shelf. What a shame, man. It's almost, I don't want to say it's an offense to Prabhupada, I'm trying to think of another word. Jamasme. What's the word I'm looking for, other than offense? Disrespect? Yeah. Disrespectful. On the cusp of offense. Disrespectful. But Srila Prabhupada has given so much of his life to writing these books and we don't read them. So that's service to Prabhupada. And that's respecting Prabhupada's desire for us to read them. Because he knows by hearing we'll become liberated. Okay. So I remember doing this kirtan last time and they were late. But I think it takes about 10 minutes to get to the temple. So I think we should leave now. We'll get there right about 6:59. But I think the Shingaday prayers go a little longer. No? Who knows? Does anybody know? Finishes at 7? Starts at 7. They told me to start at 7. Anyway, we'll see. We'll get there at 7, and then we'll see what happens. Tomorrow, my dear devotees, tomorrow, after Tulsi Puja, around 5:20 or so, we're going to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. You're all welcome to come. And then we're going to give a class there. And then after that I have to make a video in the village with some village people and show how happy they are. So that won't take that long, maybe 20 minutes, half hour. We're just going to walk into some village people's houses. We're going to turn around to the camera and go, hey, we're just going to go in. Let's see what happens. And we're just going to walk in. We want to video smiling faces. We want to show how happy you can be living in a shack. And we'll show some miserable faces of people in Beverly Hills to make the point. Okay, so you're all invited on that. We'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.